Hey everyone, this is Chase of Rocky Mountain ATV giving you a closer look at the Tech 10 Supervented boot from Alpinestars. All right everyone, thanks for checking in. Today we're giving you a closer look at the new Tech 10 Supervented boot from Alpinestars. Just like the name implies, these were designed to flow as much air as possible. And if you are a rider that rides in warm and hot climates, and that is what you are after to help keep your feet dry, then this is what you need. Now you're gonna hear me say airflow and mesh about 1,000 times in this video, but that's because as you are about to see, they have done a lot. There's a lot of years in the making with this boot. In fact, one of their test riders was Ricky Brabeck. If you don't know who Ricky Brabeck is, you should. He's actually the first American to win the Dakar Rally. And I actually got to meet Ricky and talk to him when he was wearing a prototype of these boots in California. I will give you some of his feedback about what he feels while wearing these. But needless to say, I think they've done a great job, especially after hearing the feedback from some of the riders. These things do actually flow a lot of air. So we're going to go through, we'll talk about that. Obviously, we're going to talk about the protection aspect as well. I've ridden in Tech 10, so I'm also going to give you some of my personal feedback just to help you decide if these are going to be the best option for you. But do not hesitate if you have questions about anything we talk about today, leave those below and we will get your questions answered. Now, before we dive in and we really start talking about everything that we're going to do, and bear with me, it's going to be a longer video because there's a lot to talk about. Let's just talk about fit real quick. So with the Tech 10, like I said, I have a pair, super comfortable boot. For me, it's got a nice wide toe box. The length is going to fit true to size. There is an inner bootie with these, and we'll show you that. So keep in mind, you got to wear the inner bootie with these. But in any case, very comfortable boot. Here's what I do want to point out with these, and this goes for just the Tech 10 in general. It is by far one of the stiffest boots I've ever worn right out of the box. It's going to take some time for these things to break in, so you need to be patient. And one of the aspects that does make them feel so stiff, but is also a great safety aspect, is their flexion control insert that you have right here in the front. So just know they're stiff, they'll take time to break in. But here's what I love about the Tech 10. I think, in my opinion, that of all the premium boots that are out there, I feel like the Tech 10 over a longer period of time offers the most support. In other words, I have a pair that probably has about 50 hours of ride time on them. When I put my Tech 10s on, they almost feel like they're still new. Like they didn't really lose any of that support from being brand new till I had those 50 hours on them. So that's what I really like about these, is how much support that I feel that they give even after you got a lot of hours on them. Now, I do want to point out too, we have our fit guarantee. If you buy a Tech 10 or any boot that we sell at Rocky Mountain, if you're not happy with how it fits, send it back in brand new, unused condition. We'll give you free shipping both ways on your first exchange, just to make sure you get the size and the fit that you are looking for. So we'll talk about airflow first, because that's obviously the big update with the Supervented option, and then we'll talk about protection and safety. Again, if you watch the regular Tech 10 video, there's some similarities between the two. However, there are some differences that you do want to know about. So, airflow, mesh, you're going to hear a lot. First of all, if you look at the front here, if we talk about construction, so underneath the hard TPU that you have all throughout here, you've got a lot of hard plastic over the top, the toe box, the ankle area, the calf, the heel. You have a lot of good impact protection with this. It's going to be CE rated. But you'll notice that the microfiber that you have underneath these buckles, so all this white here, is perforated. So that's one spot that you're going to get airflow. And then even underneath this bottom buckle, a little bit hard to see, but there's a white mesh material that's underneath there as well. And as you work your way up that shin plate, again, you talked about that perforation, you can see on the shin plate itself, you've got a lot more cutouts. So pushing that air through. I'll undo this top buckle real quick, because you can actually see that underneath that shin plate, again, there's some more of that mesh material. It's the same material that I talked about that's underneath that lower buckle. You're getting airflow coming through there. And probably the biggest inlet or intake that you're going to have air coming through here is right here in the front. You've actually got these two intakes. Now there is a mesh screen right here in the front. So I know a lot of riders are probably going to ask, well, what if you're riding in dry, dusty conditions? Yeah, you're probably going to get a little dust, a little bit of, debris, well, not debris, but, dust could get inside there. That's the nature of having holes in the front of the boot, but that mesh screen does do a good job of filtering a lot of that stuff out. But you're getting a lot of airflow coming through these intakes and going into the boot. And as you're about to see on the inside, they've done just about everything possible to get that air to circulate, to cool down the rider's feet, and then get that warm air and get it to go out the back of the boot. So you can see you have exhaust vents here on the back in that heel area. Again, even with this microfiber, that's going to be perforated. You've got mesh panels here on the back of the calf plate. You've even got some right here on the side as well. So a lot of intakes, a lot of exhaust ports to get that air out of the boot. Now here's what I want to point out with these intakes. Because yes, there's going to be riders who say, well, what if you get these things wet? Well, if you're a rider that's going to be doing, river crossings, whatever, or you ride in wet, rainy conditions often, not going to be the best option for you. Because yes, you're having a lot more airflow, which means these are not going to do the best job of keeping water out. But what I do want to point out, and this is something that Ricky Brabeck told to me, is that he had a few times where his feet got wet while he was wearing these. But what's nice is that because you do have so much airflow incorporated into this, that it actually dries your feet out a lot faster than a regular boot would. So it's kind of a give and take there. But just keep that in mind. Now here's what Ricky told me. Again, I was talking to him in California, and I just got to point this out. He was riding his Dakar bike on the motocross track, and he was shredding. That guy can rip. But talking to him, I asked him about these, and he said that he actually rode in some cooler temperatures, and in those cooler temperatures, his feet actually got cold. He said there was so much airflow coming through the front of these and just all over the entire boot that his feet actually started to get a little bit cold. And what he actually pointed out is that with his feet on the foot pegs, he said that all he had to do was just maybe tilt his toe a little bit forward, maybe a little bit farther back, and he could honestly feel the difference in that airflow coming through the front of the toe box just by angling his foot just a little bit on the foot peg. So pretty cool to know that you're getting a lot of airflow coming through there. So now, let's undo these buckles real quick. Well, I'll tell you about the buckles first. So the buckles are the same ones that you see on the regular Tech 10. They're a very high quality buckle. They work really well. They are replaceable. But the way these work is really simple. You take your strap, slide it through. After that, you really don't have to do much other than take the buckle, snap it down. It's a good buckle design. It works really well. I have noticed, though, that with mine, that if these get pretty dirty, they have a little bit of a hard time snapping down in some cases. So what you can do is just make sure cleaning your boots, or I've actually taken some SC1, some sort of just spray, and I've just sprayed it on there, and it'll help lubricate those. It works fine. So undo those. The top buckle is actually going to be here on the back of the calf. I'll open that up, and I'm going to pull out the inner booty real quick. All right, so with that out, first thing I will show you is right here, your Gator. You can see that is mesh, and it's a very porous mesh, so it's going to do a good job of breathing. The inside of here, the actual liner itself is, again, a more porous mesh than the regular Tech 10. In fact, kind of hard to pick up on camera, but looking through here right now from the inside to the outside, you have these vents that I talked about earlier. I can actually see the daylight coming through those vents into the Gator on the inside. So pretty cool there. Last thing I do want to show you is that on the inside, it's going to be a little bit hard to see, but you see all the way down there how the footbed, how that's white? That's actually what they call a 3D spring material. It's kind of like a really hard mesh. And that again, as that air is coming through those intakes in the front, that footbed is just allowing that air to circulate. And then you have the inner booty. So the inner booty is completely different than the standard version. And you can see, again, I'm saying mesh. You can see the entire construction is built to flow air. And if you even look at the bottom here, you can see you actually have these cutouts, getting more airflow coming through the bottom. I'll pull out the footbed you have in the inner booty. Pull this out. And even this is different. So again, lots of cutouts, lots of airflow with the insole that you have on the inner booty as well. All right, so that's your airflow design. We've talked about it. You're getting as much air coming through as possible. If that's what you're after, this boot will do a very good job for you. If you look at the Outdoor Nationals this year, chances are all the riders that wear Alpinestars boots are probably going to be wearing the Supervented version, because in hot conditions, you know, my feet, they tend to overheat sometimes, so it is really nice to be able to have some additional airflow coming through. Now let's talk about the protection and the support that you're getting with the Tech 10, because like I said, I feel this is one category that the Tech 10 really shines. And we'll start with the inner booty because I already have it out. So with this is designed to work in conjunction with the actual shell of the boot. And inside here you have your lateral and your medial torsion bars. So this is more like an ankle brace. Don't just think of it as an inner booty that's just going to help make the boot fit a little bit more snug. This really does act like a brace. And the reason for that is those torsional bars, they give good support, you know, side to side for the ankle, but they also help limit. So when I press on this forward, you can see it actually gives really good stops there, really good support. So for hyperflexion going forward, hyperextension going back, it helps limit that range of motion. That's what you're getting with the inner bootie. Now if we come back over here, let me do these buckles up real quick. That bootie is working in conjunction with the pivot system. So you've got a medial and a lateral pivot. So two functions here that this helps with. One, it just helps with flexibility. So once these start to break in, that'll help these flex. And also, it just gives more lateral stability to the boot as well. So you're getting that pivot system. You notice in the front, we've already kind of mentioned it, but you have their flexion control insert. I really like this because, like I said, even after my boots have 40, 50 hours of ride time when they are plenty broken in, I put my Tech 10s on and I still feel like this is giving me support as if the boots were almost brand new. So, as far as peace of mind goes, supportive, that's what I love about this. If you look at the heel cup here, so it's a reinforced heel cup, and like I said, you have a lot of hard plastic all the way throughout this. You can CE rated, great impact protection, but here's another unique feature about the Tech 10, is you have what they call their DHCP. This stands for Dynamic Heel Compression Protector, and you're not going to be able to see it from the outside, but inside the actual footbed, you have a little insert, and it's almost like an EPS material that you have inside your helmet, and it's a crushable material. It does a great job of absorbing impact. So in the event that, say, you hit a jump, you're in the air, you hit the eject button, you land on your feet, it's just there to help absorb some of that impact. I've bruised my heel before. It sucks. They take a long time to heal up. So it really is nice that they have that extra support for the rider's heel. Now in the front, you have called their flex blade system. So the flex blade system is kind of like a tongue and groove. You can see it right here in the front, how it comes up underneath that front shin plate. The front flex blade is going to help with your hyperflexion. So think of bending forward. And that's going to work again with that control or that flexion control insert we talked about. And then in the back, you've got the flex blade in the back too. So you can see it starts at the bottom and it comes up underneath this very large calf protector. And I'll explain the way this works the best I can. So this rear flex blade in the back is for hyperextension. And the way this works is you notice how it's really thick down here at the bottom and it tapers as it comes up in the back of that calf plate. So what happens is up here, you have this blade that's going into a groove, and that groove is not nearly as wide as the bottom of this flex blade. So as this is pushed farther up into that groove, obviously with that groove being narrower, it starts to really limit how fast and how much of this flex blade can go up. So as you're hyperextending, you can think of it as progressive dampening using that flex blade system. So you've got that in the rear. Again, you've got all the flexion control in the front. And again, you're adding all of that to what we already talked about with the ankle brace that you have on the inside. Pretty cool. Some other features I like about this. If we look here on the medial side, like I mentioned earlier, they've actually updated a couple things with the Supervented from the regular Tech 10, which I believe they're going to put into that boot as well. But with the medial side, so you have these inserts right here. It's a grippy rubber material. It does a great job. But what they've done is they've increased the durability factor with these. So they've taken a lot of rider feedback. I'll kind of explain one of my experiences that I've had and how they've improved that. But you have this insert up here at the top. Again, it's a grippy rubberized material. And this, to me, does a great job. It's a nice flat interface. But down here at the bottom, you'll notice that right here you have this little ridge or this piece of that hard TPU. Now the reason for this, and this might not seem like a big deal, but for me I was actually very pleased to see this. On my Tech 10s, and I have, when they first came out, I actually wore a hole right here where my finger is from squeezing my bike. I wore a hole right through that plastic. And so what Alpinestars did is not just because of me, but other riders who are having that same issue there, they added this piece here of that hard foot shell to help protect that. So that's not going to be an issue, so you're just adding to the durability of the boot. Pretty cool to see these guys doing that, and again, taking a good boot, making it even better. Now, as far as the foot shell construction, it is a 5-compound, one-piece injection molded foot shell, so very good strength, but here's what I like, is in the sole area, you notice that this black insert right here, this is completely replaceable. Typically with some boots you'll see where The actual insert that's replaceable really just covers basically the arch of the rider's foot. Well, they've made it to where this entire piece is replaceable. So if you wear out maybe the toe of your boot a little bit faster than the arch or vice versa, you're gonna be able to replace an entire piece. We have replaceable soles on our website. You can send these to Alpinestars. They can resole it for you, but you can also, if you want to, resole these from your own house as well. Now, as far as the sole design goes, it's actually a brand new sole design. What's cool is that this is the same sole that they were actually using on their top riders. So their factory guys were using this sole, and because it's just designed to give as much grip as possible. And so the way it works, you can see, I just like to kind of call them dimples, but you have these little dimples here on the sole. Obviously with those, when those get onto the teeth of the foot pegs, you know, those points, going to do a great job of gripping, so it's a very grippy material. And then you can see you have these little bumps here, these little micro bumps. So again, those are just adding to the grip as well. And then you notice that you have these little slots right here on the inside. Those are designed specifically to give more grip when you're really weighting the outside foot peg. So think of maybe going around a flat turn, you're weighting that outside foot peg, so you need grip on really that very inside edge of your sole. That's what this is designed for. Now also, here in the front, they have a relief cut. Now with the Tech 10s, when I first got mine, I had a worry that I wasn't gonna have very good peg feel because you've got this nice heavy duty foot shell and you have the inner booty. However, there is a relief cut in the sole. It's obviously not gonna be able to see it, but it just helps give a little bit of flexibility there. So when you're on the foot pegs, you can feel those a little bit better. So for me, as far as braking, peg feel, shifting, it's a non-issue with the Tech 10. You are gonna have a steel shank that comes up, about halfway, a little bit more. That's gonna add to even more support inside the sole. But in any case, with the Tech 10, again, it's rock solid. And we covered a lot today, but as a quick little recap, it's gonna flow a lot of air. If that's what you're after, hot climate, hot riding conditions, if you don't want your feet to overheat, that's who this boot is designed for. On top of that, you have a great protection scheme. I already said it. For me, it's one of the most supportive boots that is out there. So take all that information, digest it, and hopefully it'll help you decide if this is gonna be your next boot. But remember, you have the standard Tech 10, watch that product spotlight as well, and you'll see the construction, the differences between the two to ultimately help you decide. If you do have more questions or comments, we wanna get those answered, so make sure to leave those below. To pick up a set of these, you can click on the link or head over to RockyMountainATVMC.com. Remember, orders over $75 ship free. If you like this product spotlight, get subscribed to the Rocky Mountain YouTube channel because we got a lot more great video or product reviews just like what you saw today. I am Chase, and we'll see you on the trails.